Chapter 1800. Around Qin Chu's right kneecap there were shocking scars. No wonder he walked a little slower than usual. It must have been a serious injury. Huamin cried as she reached out her hand and gently touched it. How many surgeries did you have to leave scars like this? Huamin's voice was hoarse. Not many. I only had 4 surgeries, but the results weren't ideal. There are 7 steel nails inside. The kneecap isn't easy to deal with because it can't be regenerated, so we can only try using the latest technology. But right now, even if the United States uses the most economical technology in the world, I'm still not confident. I don't have any clinical experience, so I'm considered the first batch of lab rats. After speaking, Qin Chu smiled casually. He didn't want Huamin to worry too much, so he tried to make himself sound casual. However, he didn't know that Huamin's heart was bleeding at this moment. She was also a medical student, so no matter how simple and plain Qin Chu's description was, she could still feel the pain. He had 4 surgeries to repair his kneecap, but they all failed in the end, and he had to regenerate his kneecap before the technology was mature. What kind of process was this? Most importantly, Qin Chu had undergone such a major surgery, but it didn't affect his ability to walk. Other than being a little slower than usual, she really couldn't tell what kind of perseverance he had to be able to endure so many difficult years. Don't cry. I'll be heartbroken. Qin Chu couldn't stand seeing Huamin cry. Before, every time Huamin got into trouble or made a mistake, Qin Chu would always take pity on him. As soon as Huamin pretended to be pitiful and cried, Qin Chu would immediately be defeated. It must have hurt a lot. Huamin gently touched the scar, sobbing. It doesn't hurt anymore. It's all in the past. Did you injure yourself in the plane crash? Huamian looked up. Yeah, I want to kill Huasiqian. In an instant, Huamin seemed to have suffered a great blow. He stood up, turned around, and was about to run. However, Qin Chu pulled her into his arms and hugged her tightly. Mian, don't be impulsive. I'm going to kill that bastard. Why can't he live peacefully after doing all these bad things? How unfair is God? Why can't good people be rewarded? Huamin cried. Qin Chu gently whispered in her ear. Huasiqian, I'll deal with him slowly. This is what a man should do. I can't let you shoulder everything for me anymore. You've worked too hard these past 4 years. No matter what happens in the future, I'll be there for you. Just stand behind me, hubby. Huamin raised her head and looked at Qin Chu. Really doesn't hurt anymore. Dummy, don't cry anymore, don't worry anymore, hubby. I'll find a way to cure your leg. I'll make sure it fully recovers. Huamin made up her mind. Yeah, I believe you. My wife is a genius doctor after all. Upon hearing this, Huamin smiled through her tears. After showering, the two of them quietly lay on the bed. Huamin laid on Qin Chu's chest. She quietly listened to his heartbeat and felt at ease. How long had it been since she felt this safe? Tell me about the day of the plane crash. What happened that day? Huamin asked softly. Chapter 1801. Yeah. That day, Rick escorted me onto the plane in the middle of the night. The plane was arranged by Lino, and the people on the plane were all his men. At first, I didn't suspect anything, but after flying for a while, one of the bodyguards poured me a glass of water. Even though the water didn't look like anything wrong, we're all medical students, so we're very sensitive to smells. I smelled a faint fragrance in the water. Something felt off, so I didn't really drink it. I pretended to drink it and pretended to faint. Then I overheard the conversation between 2 of them. That was when I realized that they'd been bribed by Huasiqian. They were going to hijack the plane and kill me. Unfortunately, I wasn't fooled. During the fight, I damaged parts of the plane. When the plane crashed, I took a parachute and jumped down, but it was the deep ocean. I floated for a long time. In the end, I was washed ashore. My right kneecap got stuck in the coral reef at the bottom of the ocean. The injury was very serious, and the local fishermen didn't have any advanced medicine or medical equipment, so I stayed in the fishing village for 3 days before leaving. At that time, a lot of people were looking for me, so I couldn't contact you. Huasiqian definitely wouldn't let go of me. So I secretly returned to the States. Then I went to Seattle to hide my whereabouts. So you didn't come back for the past few years. Other than the injury on your leg, the other reason you didn't come back was to investigate Huasiqian's power, right? Yes. Did you find anything? Huamin was curious. Yeah, I found a very important clue. There's a reason why Huasiqian is so arrogant. But the good thing is that we've figured out everything. Knowing your enemy is 100 battles. From now on, I won't let him hurt a single hair on my family. Huasiqian is no longer a surprise. The real worry isn't him. Then who is it? It's Ian. Who's Ian? Huamin was surprised. Speaking of Ian, he's related to you somehow. Qin Chu glanced at Huamin. With me? Huamin was a little confused. This matter is related to your background. After speaking, Qin Chu raised his hand and gently stroked Huamin's hair. For years ago, when I was taken away by the police, I was going to tell you about your family background. I didn't think that it would be 4 years since we last met. It's okay. It's not too late to tell me now. I just want to hear you say it. Huamin held Qin Chu's hand tightly and pressed her face against his chest like a spoiled child. Mion, your father is Professor Lu Jiwen. Lu Jiwen? Could it be? Huamin's face was full of shock. That's him. Qin Chu seemed to know what Huamin was going to say. Oh my god. The famous chemistry genius Professor Lu. The old man who doesn't even want to accept the Nobel Prize in chemistry. The scholar who's rumored to be the #1 chemistry genius in 100 years. He's my father? Huamin had never studied abroad. However, because of her passion for chemistry and medicine, she had read many books and theses about Professor Lu. She was no stranger to his achievements. She always thought that he was a godlike figure. He was too far away from her. She never thought that Qin Chu would tell her that he was her biological father. How shocking was this? If it wasn't Qin Chu who said this, she wouldn't believe it even if she was beaten to death. However, she knew that Qin Chu would never lie, let alone joke about something like this. Chapter 1802. Honey, if Professor Lu is my father, then Dr. Linya. Yeah, she's your biological mother. Oh my god. I'm crazy. Huamion's idol in her life wasn't a superstar, a Hollywood best actor, or a leader in politics. When she was studying medicine, she idolized Linya, a top medical doctor who was once known as the deadliest doctor in the world. It was said that Dr. Linya was the pride of the Chinese. She had developed many drugs to treat allergies and made great contributions to the medical industry. However, it was said that Dr. Linya mysteriously disappeared 16 years ago. No one knew where she was or if she was dead or alive. Dr. Lin and Professor Lu had become legendary figures and mysteries. Now that Qin Chu mentioned them and said they were her biological parents, Huamin thought it was ridiculous. She was as shocked as if someone told her she was the princess of a Middle Eastern country. Then, other than them, do I have any other relatives? Huamin asked. Yes, you have a younger sister. Younger sister? Yeah, do you remember the jade gourd you received during Chinese New Year? Yes, that's the gift she gave you. She knows me? Huamin was overjoyed. Of course. Not only does she know you, but she also cares about you. She even snuck into the city to see you several times. She even walked past you and stole your work ID. Huamin froze for a second and then remembered one time when he was working at Southside. He lost his work ID for no reason. Now that he thought about it, it was his younger sister who did it. Younger sister? Oh my god, I have a younger sister? Hearing that he had a younger sister, Huamin was extremely excited. Her name is Lu Yan. She's 21 years old. She's very pretty and fierce. Fierce. Huamin froze again. She has another identity. She's the leader of a world-famous mercenary group. Her code name is 2nd Mississippi Mercenary Group. Is a mercenary? Qin Chu took a deep look at Huamin and explained calmly. Lu Yan, female, 21 years old, born in California. She moved to Hong Kong when she was 3 years old. Due to her extraordinary talent, she was accepted into the West Point Military Academy at the age of 15. She stayed at West Point for 3 years and graduated early. Then she picked a few outstanding alumni and quickly formed a mercenary group. She took on countless big jobs and is worth tens of billions. She squandered money like it was water, and her marksmanship was accurate. Are you saying that my sister is a serial killer? Huamin found it hard to accept. Or maybe she's used to being hunted down. You probably don't know, but Professor Lu's situation is extremely awkward right now. Because he was framed by criminals, he was suspected by the National Security Agency. He was also tracked by the FBI, and he was even targeted by terrorists who wanted him to create biochemical weapons to threaten the entire human race. So, your father and sister have been living a homeless life for years. Being hunted down is a common occurrence. So, they didn't come looking for me? Huamin finally understood. Qin Chu nodded. I think your father doesn't want you to live like that. So he'd rather not disturb you and watch you live a peaceful and happy life. Then, are they okay now? What about my mother? Lu Yen didn't mention Dr. Linya, and I've never met Professor Lu, so I'm not sure. You mean, you've met my sister? Huamin understood the meaning behind Qin Chu's words. 3 years ago your sister's friend was injured and shot. The surgery was very difficult, so she went to Seattle to find me. I went to Russia to perform the surgery for that person and I met Lu Yen in Moscow. Then, what does she look like? Huamin asked Qin Chu curiously like a little girl. Chapter 1803. She's very lively, arrogant, and domineering. She misses you too. Upon hearing this, Huamin felt an indescribable mix of emotions. It turned out that she still had family in this world. They had always been there and they even knew about her existence. How miraculous was this? Mion, yeah? Huamin looked up. I'll let you see Lu Yen and the professor. But now isn't the right time. This is what I'm going to tell you next. I want to tell you why Huasiqian was able to threaten me into divorcing you. Yeah, go ahead. Huamin knew that Qin Chu was very calm and steady, so he must have his reasons for saying this. The leader of the world's top terrorist organization iOS is Ian. He's violent and murderous and he's very ambitious. All these years he's been creating violence and chaos, and he's trying to make a fortune out of it. He's always wanted to capture Professor Lu because he's said to have developed a biochemical weapon that can kill people invisibly. He can invade a country without using any military forces. That's why he's been chasing after your father all these years. Your sister learned how to protect herself at a young age and traveled around the world on her own. Ian's family is very powerful and his younger brother, Nalo, is the godfather of Germany's biggest mafia. The reason Huasiqian knows so much is because during the 6 years he was in Germany he was very close to Nalo and had some contact with Ian. You're saying Huasiqian knows that psychoterrorist? Huamin was shocked. Not only do they know each other, they have a very close relationship. Otherwise, how would he know about your identity? But I'm very grateful to Huasiqian. Grateful to him? Hearing Qin Chu's words, Huamin was completely confused. Yes, I really want to thank him. If he didn't keep it a secret, your identity would have been exposed a long time ago. Do you know that Ian has been investigating your whereabouts all these years? Investigating me? He knows about my existence? Huamin was dumbfounded again. He felt that this matter involved a lot of people. He knows that the professor has a daughter in China, but he hasn't been able to find her. So, I think that Huasiqian must have done something. Otherwise, with Ian's efficiency he wouldn't have delayed it until now. Won't Huasiqian suspect him for doing this? That's why he's so powerful. His relationship with those people isn't that simple. Anyway, the professor and Lu Yen didn't dare to come to you because they were afraid that your identity would be exposed. Unlike Lu Yen, you're not the kind of person who lives on the edge of a knife. Once your identity is exposed, you'll be in great danger. So that's how it is. I finally understand now. The doubts that had been in his heart all this time were finally revealed. Back in the day, Huasiqian had threatened Qin Chu because of this. As long as Qin Chu revealed Huamin to Ian, Huasiqian would be in trouble. Then Huamian was basically dead. No wonder Qin Chu was so scared. But don't worry. After I deal with Huasiqian, I'll think of a way to deal with Ian. Remember, in this world I won't let anyone hurt or threaten you. I'll definitely reunite you with the professor and fulfill your wish. Qin Chu said seriously, word for word. Chapter 1804. Huamin felt tears welling up in her eyes. All these years, Qin Chu was the only one who would always put himself in her shoes and think for her. He treated her life like it was the most important thing in the world. Over the years, Qin Chu would try his best to make Huamin's dreams come true. When she was young, she wanted to study medicine. In the end, Qin Chu went abroad to study medicine for 7 years. She said she wanted to find her family. Qin Chu lost a lot of his men in Dongtao town and wanted to find the truth for her. She said she wanted to keep her marriage a secret, so he didn't tell anyone. She said she wanted to work at Southside after marriage, so he asked Rick to keep an eye on Huamin and protect her. As long as Huamin wanted something, Qin Chu would try his best to do it for her. Mr. Qin was never good with words, but he would always use his actions to prove how much he loved her. This was Qin Chu, the man Huamin loved deeply for many years. When they were young, he was calm and collected. He didn't show his emotions on his face and always had his own ideas. About Professor Luell, honey, let's not talk about them. I know they're not in danger, so I'm not worried anymore. You just came back, so get some sleep. Don't be so tired. So, madam, are you inviting me? Chin Chu looked at her gently. Huamin's face immediately turned red. Honey, your face is so red. Are you thinking the wrong thing? What? Not. Don't measure the heart of a gentleman with your own yardstick. Huamin was furious that Chin Chu saw right through her. She laid on top of Chin Chu and played around with him. Chin Chu grabbed Huamin's hands with both hands and flipped her over. Their eyes met. At such a close distance, their eyelashes were almost touching each other. Huamin felt her heart race. It was as if she had returned to the time when they first got married. Even though, I can't wait to eat you up. But, I want to hug you for the whole night. Then Chin Chu gently kissed Huamin's forehead. Good night, honey. Good night, honey. Huamin's heart was filled with warmth. She nestled in Chin Chu's arms, tightly holding his hand, and then fell asleep. Midnight. Huamian was extremely thirsty. She opened her eyes and was about to get some water when she was startled. She noticed that Chin Chu was sitting beside her, quietly watching her. Why aren't you asleep? I don't, silly. You'll have time every day. Go to sleep. Huamin pulled Chin Chu onto the bed and pressed him against her. Chin Chu tightly held onto Huamin's hand. I'm going to get some water. I'll get it for you. Then Chin Chu got up, picked up a glass of water from the coffee table and brought it to Huamin. He watched as Huamin drank it all in one gulp. Then he took out a tissue and wiped the corner of her mouth. I'm going back to sleep. I'm so sleepy, Huamin groggily said. Okay, go back to sleep. Huamin groggily lay down and fell asleep again. In her dream, she dreamt that she and Chin Chu went back to their youth and shared some sweet memories in school. The corners of her mouth began to curl up. You don't know how much I miss you. 11 years, 11 whole years have passed. You've missed so much. I should have been with you. Chin Chu looked at Huamin tenderly. No matter how tired he was, he couldn't bear to close his eyes. He sat beside her, quietly guarding her. In the next room, on a spacious pink princess bed, after the two little guys tricked their grandma into leaving, they began chatting. Pudding, what did you say to handsome Sue behind my back today? Little Bean turned her head and asked her sister. Chapter 1805. What are you talking about? Do you think I'll tell you? Come on, don't be so naive, Pudding said in disdain. You're so annoying. There are so many men in the world. Why are you trying to steal handsome Sue from me? We're sisters, Pudding pouted, feeling very unhappy. Pudding turned her head and looked at Pudding. Are you kidding me? Chin Mumu, I should be the one saying that. I met handsome Sue first. Nonsense. We're twins. We were born together. So, we met handsome Sue together, Pudding emphasized. Come on, use your pig brain. I'm the older one. I was born a few seconds before you, okay? Pudding, what's so great about being born a few seconds before me? We don't even know who handsome Sue likes. But seriously, let's stop arguing. Pig. Daddy's return this time is a big blow to handsome Sue. Pudding lowered her eyelashes, looking very worried. Yeah. Daddy, why did you come back now? Why didn't you come back earlier or later? It's like you're going against handsome Sue. If Daddy didn't come back, handsome Sue would have proposed to Mommy today, so we almost had to call handsome Sue Daddy? Oh my god, I can't accept this. Pudding was so scared that she threw the QQ candy she was eating to the ground. It didn't work out, right? So, Daddy's return is a good thing for us, Pudding analyzed. Pudding nodded. You're right. At least handsome Sue won't miss Mommy anymore. But handsome Sue will be in a bad mood for a few days. Although I didn't see him cry, he must be very heartbroken, Pudding thought gloomily. It's okay. I can take him to eat Coke burgers. There's nothing a burger can't solve. If there's, we'll eat too, Pudding said happily. You only know how to eat. I really have to hand it to you. I'm eating and having a crush on handsome Sue at the same time. Haha, I don't want to talk to you. Don't tell people you're from the Chin family. You'll lose fans. Pudding had always felt that Little Bean's IQ was obviously lower than hers, Mommy and Daddy. Little Bean was dragging down the whole family's IQ. Who wants to talk to you? You make it sound like I can live another 100 years if I talk to you. Little Bean rolled her eyes at Pudding. The conversation between the two princesses came to an end. After Wei Liao and his family returned home, They didn't feel sleepy at all. Son, you go back first. I have something to say to your mother. Wei Liao looked at Wei Yunchu. Do you want to have sex with your mother? Wei Liao was speechless. Jiang Xiaowei, where did you hear that term from? Oh my god. For the first time, Wei Liao was exhausted by his son. Little Bean told me. Little Bean said that we kids were born because you adults didn't take responsibility. Ahem. Stay away from Little Bean from now on. Wei Liao warned. How can I do that? My mom said that Little Bean will be my wife in the future. Don't. We can't control such a smart daughter-in-law. Son, calm down. Wei Liao and Jiang Xiaowei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. After the nanny finally took their son to bed, Wei Liao glanced at Jiang Xiaowei and said, Honey, I'm going to Lord Su's house. I might be late. Go. Drive safe. Wei Liao nodded. When he drove to Su Yu's mansion, he saw Tang Chuan's car there as well. It seemed that he was here to accompany Su Yu. After walking in, Wei Liao looked around and was slightly surprised. He asked Tang Chuan, Where's Lord Su? Chapter 1806. Tang Chuan pointed at the bedroom upstairs. But he didn't say anything. Wei Liao slowly walked up the stairs and went straight to the bedroom on the second floor. The door was open. Su Yu was lying on the carpet on the floor. His white shirt was open and his body was exposed. He was holding the black velvet box tightly in one hand and a wine glass in the other. The red wine was spilled on the floor. Even a man like Wei Liao's heart ached when he saw how dispirited she looked. Lord Su? You don't have to persuade me, I understand. But I'm still sad, Su Yu said in a hoarse voice. After returning to the mansion, he had been drinking. His heart ached and he wanted to get drunk, but he was sober. He admitted that he was a little selfish. Although he always wanted to give Huamin without asking for anything in return, he couldn't help but be greedy and want to have her. If it weren't for Qin Chu's sudden return, he even thought that Huamin would agree to his proposal and marry him. Then she would move in with the twins and live with him. From then on, the four of them would live happily ever after. With Su Yu's personality, he would definitely spoil the three of them. However, he forgot that Huamin and the twins were never his. They had always been Qin Chu's. He was too stubborn. In the beginning he didn't want anything, but later on he was delusional. In the end he was wrong. Damn it. Qin Chu, of all times, why did he have to come back now? It's been 4 years and he only came back. Huamin had Lord Su by her side when she was pregnant, and Lord Su was by her side when she was giving birth. Now his wife and kids are all grown up, and he's back to enjoy everything. How can he be like this? No, I have to go talk to Qin Chu. What the hell is he doing? Does he think Lord Su is a big shot? Tang Chuan was an impulsive person and he felt bad for Su Yu. After cursing to himself, he was about to go downstairs when Wei Liao stopped him. Stop right there. Young Master Wei, don't stop me. This time I have to stand up for Lord Su. Second young Master Tang, can you stop messing things up? What you're thinking is nonsense. You're Lord Su's buddy, so you only see Lord Su's sacrifice. But you don't see Qin Chu's tolerance. Do you think he's willing to stay away for 4 years and ignore his wife and kids? Do you think Huamin doesn't know what kind of person Qin Chu is? When it comes to love between a man and a woman, there's no fairness. It's all about who's willing to give. Even if Lord Su is upset, we can't blame Huamin and Qin Chu. First of all, Huamin never gave Lord Su hope. He never said that he wanted to be with Lord Su. Huamin also said more than once that even if Qin Chu died, he would never marry again. Even Lord Su confirmed this himself. As for you, I didn't even have time to scold you for coming up with such a stupid idea. What kind of proposal is this? It's really wrong of you to encourage Lord Su to boldly propose. If it succeeds, everyone will be happy, but if it doesn't, how are they going to get along in the future? So awkward. I was doing it for Lord Su's sake, wasn't I? Lord Su doesn't need us to do it for him. We can help him with anything else but not love. We can't help him. If Lord Su doesn't give up, he'll always be the one in pain. Because it's destined that Huamin won't love him. Tang Chuan was unwilling to give up. This Huamin. Why is he so stubborn? I have so many women around me. One day I sleep with one and the next day I'll be with someone else. Their hearts change faster than their faces. How come when it comes to Huamin they'll follow him through life and death? How strange. Can't they give our Lord Su a chance? Our Lord Su has to suffer for jumping into the pit that Huamin dug. Chapter 1807. Everyone is different. Lord Su likes Huamin so much because she's such a good person. If Huamin was a fickle woman, do you think Lord Su would still like her? Wei Liao was angry that Tang Chuan was so simple-minded. You have a point, Tang Chuan muttered to himself. So, you better stop, don't go looking for them anymore. 4 years of separation was a torture for Qin Chu and Huamin. We're all outsiders, they're the victims. We can't deny Qin Chu's feelings for Huamin just because we're biased towards Lord Su. That's not what a gentleman would do. I'm not a gentleman to begin with, Tang Chuan mumbled. Go boil some water for me and make a pot of tea for Lord Su. Otherwise he'll get alcohol poisoning. Tang Chuan came to his senses after Wei Liao scolded him. He quickly went downstairs to boil water and make tea. Wei Liao helped Lord Su up from the ground and placed him on the big bed. Lord Su, fate can't be forced. I know everything. It's good that you know. We still have to live our lives. You can't lose confidence in life just because of what happened between you and Huamin. I know. Although Su Yu was dizzy, he wasn't drunk at all. Wei Liao sighed deeply and didn't say anything else. Su Yu took out his phone and looked at Huamin's photo on the screensaver. His eyes were in a daze. Then he opened his WeChat moments and wrote, I've heard a lot of things, but I still can't live a good life. Su Yu's WeChat had a few thousand people. There were many female celebrities, executives, business partners and rich kids in the circle. His WeChat message immediately caused an uproar among his friends. Lord Su? What's going on? Did you fall out of love? Don't worry, President Su. There's nothing we can't overcome. President Su, what's wrong? Young Master Su is in a bad mood. Do you want me to have a drink with you? Su Yu couldn't be bothered to read the comments that were all over the place. South Hill Manor. The next morning Qin Chu woke up early to make breakfast for Huamin and the twins because he did not sleep well. When the two little guys got up and went downstairs, there was a sumptuous breakfast on the table. Wow, there's so much good food. What's the occasion today? Little Bean licked her little tongue greedily. The twins were wearing white long-sleeved sweaters and red checkered dresses. They all had red Mickey Mouse hairbands on their heads, making them look especially adorable. Their clothes were all chosen by Huamin and there were countless of them. Every outfit was exactly the same and they even had matching headwear and shoes. They were really treated like princesses. It was true that Huamin loved his daughters very much. Even if they made mistakes, Huamin wouldn't hit them. He would only lecture them. Pudding looked at Little Bean coldly and said helplessly, Can you please bring your brain with you this morning? It's obviously Daddy's first time having breakfast with us. Of course it has to be sumptuous. You two can't fight so early in the morning. For Daddy, can you live in peace? Huamin laughed. It's impossible for us to live in peace. But for Daddy I can tolerate her for a day. Then Pudding walked up to Qin Chu and sat down beside him. Then she blinked her big eyes and looked at Qin Chu with her baby voice. Good morning, Daddy. Good morning, my Pudding. Qin Chu's eyes were incomparably gentle. Little Bean sat on the other side of Qin Chu and asked curiously. Daddy, how do you know she's Pudding and not Little Bean? Because people say Pudding is Tsundra and Little Bean is adorable. Qin Chu laughed. Do you like the adorable one or the Tsundra one? Little Bean continued to ask. I like both. That's a good answer. If you're not satisfied, Daddy, you can only choose one. Little Bean began to make things difficult again. Chapter 1808. Qin Chu was at a loss for words. Then she looked up at Huamin for help. Huamin replied helplessly, They've been like this ever since they learned how to talk. They're always giving me a choice. I can't say I like both of them. Daddy, can you not answer this question? Why not? Little Bean looked at Qin Chu curiously. Because if Daddy only says one, the other one will be unhappy. You're both Daddy's daughters and I don't want either one of you to be unhappy. So if Daddy has to choose one, Daddy really can't choose. Daddy, since you sound so pitiful, I'll let you go. Who would have thought that Qin Chu's words would make Little Bean give up on making things difficult for him? That was amazing. Daddy, did you make this breakfast yourself? Little Bean took a bite of the grilled sausage and asked. How did you know? Qin Chu was surprised. Because when the aunties at home make grilled sausages, they always put a lot of black pepper. I don't really like the taste. But Daddy made it today. Mommy doesn't like grilled sausages, so she never makes them for us. I think Daddy must have made it himself. Little Bean's words made Chin Chu and Huamin look at each other in shock. She was only 3 years old, but her logical reasoning skills were already so strong. You're right, Daddy made it himself. Do you like it? Chin Chu picked up a tissue and wiped the grease off the corner of Little Bean's mouth lovingly. Daddy, I want some too. Seeing this, Little Bean deliberately picked up the glass, took a sip of milk and then wiped the milk off the corner of her mouth. Then she stuck out her little tongue, waiting for Chin Chu to wipe it off. Chin Chu smiled and turned around, picked up another tissue and patiently wiped his little daughter's mouth. Huamin dreamed of such a heartwarming scene. At this moment she really felt like she was going to die of happiness. Honey, after breakfast come to the company with me? No. Chin Chu refused without hesitation. Why? Because I want to stay at home with my daughter. But you're the president of the headquarters. Is it really okay for you not to visit the branch offices when you return? Nothing is more important than spending time with our daughter. Honey, you should go to work. I'll stay at home and wash your clothes, cook for you and take care of the kids. I'll just be a stay-at-home husband. Ha! Huamin couldn't help but laugh out loud. Pudding immediately reminded her, Mommy, can you not smile so fiercely? You'll scare Daddy away. How dare he? If he runs again so what? Chin Chu looked at Huamin with a smile, deliberately teasing her. If you run away again, I'll take Pudding and Little Bean and marry Suyu. Mommy, handsome Su won't take the blame for your fight with Daddy. Little Bean immediately defended Suyu. Yeah, Mommy, you can't be so willful and let handsome Su get implicated. It's unfair. Don't drag the innocent into your flirting with Daddy. Pudding chimed in. Huamin was speechless. Did you see that? Remember what your daughter said. Chin Chu said proudly. Why do I suddenly feel like these two are betraying me? We're not on the same side anymore. Huamin laughed. At the Hua Corporation, Hua Xiqian didn't sleep at all last night. He had a lot on his mind and was furious at the morning meeting. He was so angry that he scolded all the employees. Hua Xiqian sat in his office with a gloomy face. Boss, now that Chin Chu is back, what should we do now? One of his subordinates asked carefully. Chapter 1809. What should we do? I guess we have to settle old and new grudges together. Boss, do you want us to strike first and gain the upper hand? Hua Xiqian raised his hand. No need. I want to see how much Chin Chu has grown over the past 4 years, hiding abroad like a coward. If he could fall into my hands 4 years ago, he'll do the same 4 years later. Yes, boss. We'll do as you say. Over the past 4 years, Hua Xiqian had disguised himself well and became a well-known entrepreneur in the city. Although Su Yu and Huamin often bullied him in the business world, he didn't mind at all. It was just as he had said before. His biggest dream and ambition was not to earn as much money as he could, nor to gain fame and fortune. He just wanted to have Huamin. But Chin Chu wasn't around, so he couldn't fulfill his dream. To be honest, Hua Xiqian had wanted to kill Su Yu many times, but Su Yu's background was too special. Unlike Chin Chu, he wasn't just a simple entrepreneur. The Su family protected Su Yu too tightly. If anything happened to Su Yu, it would escalate to a political level. No matter how bold he was, he wouldn't dare to provoke a powerful country. Therefore, it could be said that Su Yu was a bigger headache for Hua Xiqian. President Hua, Miss Yen is here. Okay, you can leave now. Hua Xiqian looked at his subordinate after hearing the female secretary's report. Yes. Hi Qianqian. Yen Ruoshi was still passionate about Hua Xiqian even after 3 years. She even gave up the opportunity to study abroad for Hua Xiqian and stayed in the city to open a pottery museum. Although Mayor Yen wanted to interfere, he couldn't. In the end, he could only accept his daughter's actions. At the same time, he thought that if Hua Xiqian could marry Ruoshi, it would be good for his position. Hua Xiqian was smart enough to keep his distance from Yen Ruoshi for the past few years. He didn't admit that they were boyfriend and girlfriend, nor did he touch Yen Ruoshi. This made Yen Ruoshi think that Hua Xiqian could marry her, which was why he respected her so much. Ruoshi, what's up? Are you free at noon? Let's have lunch. My best friend opened a Sichuan restaurant on Two-Way Road. I remember you like spicy. Yeah. Hua Xiqian smiled. Are you coming or not? I've already booked a table. Okay. Hua Xiqian didn't refuse Yen Ruoshi's kindness. Just like that, the two of them drove to the Sichuan restaurant on Two-Way Road. Coincidentally, Chin Chu brought the twins to the restaurant as well. Pudding and Little Bean both liked spicy food, so Chinchu asked someone to do some research and found that the new Sichuan restaurant here was quite delicious. Therefore he brought the two little princesses with him. It was a silver-gray Audi R8. Just like before, Chinchu and Huamin were fans of Audi. They could afford a sports car worth tens of millions of yuan, but they only drove their favorite model, not the most expensive one. Little Bean and Pudding sat in the same seat and Chinchu fastened them with seat belts. At first, Yang Meong didn't think it was safe and insisted that the bodyguards follow them. However, Chinchu politely refused. Since he dared to bring the twins out, he wasn't afraid of anything happening. In the past 4 years he had experienced too much. Now he was a husband who could protect his wife and a father who could give his daughters a sense of security. When Hu Xiqian and Yan Ruoxi walked in, Chinchu and the others were walking in as well. Coincidentally, they ran into each other in the lobby. Pudding, Little Bean, come here and let me hug you. Every time he saw the twins, Hu Xiqian was very enthusiastic. Chapter 18:10. To be honest, Hu Xiqian didn't know why he was so evil. Back then, when Huamin was pregnant, he wanted to do something to her a few times. He didn't want Huamin to give birth safely because he couldn't accept Huamin giving birth to another man's child. However, when the twins were born, he liked them for the first time. Although he didn't have many chances to see the twins in the past 3 years, every time he saw them, Hu Xiqian would look at them lovingly. It was as if they were his own children. Seeing Hu Xiqian, Little Bean seemed a little scared. She took a step back and hid behind Chinchu. Chinchu held his daughter's hand tightly. Pudding, on the other hand, was calm. She glanced at Hu Xiqian coldly and said, "Mr. Hua, did you get the wrong person? We only have 2 uncles, Jing Zhixin and Ni Yang. Who do you think you are?" "Hey, what are you talking about? Don't you have any manners?" Yan Ruoxi couldn't stand it anymore and defended Hu Xiqian. "This is a conversation between us. Outsiders shouldn't interfere. After all, people who interrupt other people's conversations are even more ill-mannered." Pudding was still calm. Chinchu couldn't help but praise his eldest daughter. She was a black-bellied and sharp-tongued baby. She was as arrogant as Chinchu and as sharp-tongued as Huamin. She was his biological daughter. Yan Ruoxi was about to go up and argue with her when Hu Xiqian stopped her. "Ruoxi, why are you being so serious with a kid?" Hu Xiqian smiled. "Pudding, you seem to have misunderstood me. The truth is, I really like you and Little Bean. I give you guys presents every birthday. Who wants your presents? Mommy said that you're a wolf in sheep's clothing." Little Bean stuck out her tongue and made a face behind Chinchu. Hu Xiqian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "So that's what your mommy said about me?" Hu Xiqian smiled. "So, please don't pretend to be familiar with us in the future. Although my sister and I don't get along, we have the same thoughts when it comes to you. The two of us really hate you." "Hu Xiqian, Daddy, let's go. I suddenly lost my appetite." Pudding proudly turned around and walked out. Chinchu held Little Bean's hand and immediately followed them. When they brushed past each other, Hu Xiqian smiled evilly. "Welcome back. Our battle will continue. You can prepare a coffin for yourself now. I won't go easy on you," Chinchu said coldly as he turned around and left with his daughter. Hu Xiqian sneered. He didn't seem to take Chinchu's words to heart. Yan Ruoxi intimately held Hu Xiqian's arm. "Qianqian, are they your sister's daughters? They're so rude. It seems like your sister is also a rude person. Ruoxi, this is my family business." Then Hu Xiqian quietly pulled his arm back and gently pushed Yan Ruoxi away. Only then did Yan Ruoxi realize that she might have said something wrong. It was strange. Every time they talked about that woman related to Huamin, Hu Xiqian would get angry. Did he have feelings for Huamin? "In the Audi R8, Pudding, if you and Little Bean like it, we'll go in." "It's okay," Chinchu comforted. "When I saw that bad guy, I lost my appetite. Daddy, let's go to another restaurant. Anything is fine. You decide." "Pudding, Daddy wants to ask you. Who told you that he's a bad guy?" Chinchu was curious. He didn't think that Huamin would instill hatred in his children. Chapter 18:11. No one told us. Mommy would never tell us something so complicated. I heard Mommy, Auntie Lingling and Auntie Xiaowei talking about it on WeChat. I also know that he's the reason why Daddy can't come back. Pudding explained. Little Bean immediately added, Yeah. Daddy, let me tell you. That guy looks like he's sly and cunning. He's so annoying. Every year, Mommy would sell his gifts and donate the money to the kids in the mountain area. She never accepts his gifts. Mommy hates him for a reason. That's why we decided to work together to ban him. Ban him together? Chin Chu suddenly felt like he was raising two daughters. Did they have to have such high EQ? Daddy, I'm a little hungry. Why don't you take us to Oxin's ramen for a bowl of noodles? Little Bean said pitifully as she rubbed her belly. Oxin's ramen? Do you guys go there often? Chin Chu was surprised. Of course. Mommy goes there once a month, rain or shine. We're used to it. To be honest, the noodles there aren't that good. But we don't want Mommy to be disappointed, Little Bean said honestly. I told you Mommy doesn't eat noodles. He eats feelings. Can you stop nagging? Pudding looked at Little Bean unhappily. The battle between the two sisters had begun again. In the end, Chin Chu really did drive the girls to Oxin's ramen. When the owner saw Chin Chu, he froze for a second. Then he smiled warmly and said, Mr. Chin, you're back. Yeah. Chin Chu nodded. You've changed a lot in the past few years. I watched you and your wife go from being students to working. Then you got married. Now your kids are all grown up. What a happy family. Thank you, boss. 3 bowls of ramen with extra beef. Thank you. Chin Chu found a seat that he often sat at with Huamin and sat down with the two sisters. Seeing that the place hadn't changed at all, Chin Chu's heart was filled with gratitude. He knew that Huamin didn't come here to eat ramen. She came here because she missed him. His wife turned out to be as stubborn as him. Just then Little Bean muttered, I don't think Mommy came here because she wants to. Maybe it's because we don't have to pay to eat here. After all, I heard that Daddy saved a lot of money here. It's enough for the 4 of us to eat for decades. Chin Chu was speechless. If Mommy hears this, she'll be shocked to death. Pudding looked at her sister helplessly. Hey, you're so weird. You have so many ideas. Chin Chu looked at his 2 daughters dotingly. He took out a scarf from his handbag and put it on each of them. She was afraid that the noodles would stain Charm's flowery dress. Pudding thought for a moment and looked up at Chin Chu. Daddy, I have a very serious question to ask you. Ask away. Wait, let me interrupt. Daddy, you have to be careful. Pudding's questions are usually difficult to answer. You better be prepared. Little Bean pretended to give Chin Chu a heads up. Okay, thanks for the reminder. Daddy is already prepared. Chin Chu smiled warmly. Will you and Mommy have a second child? Pudding asked with a straight face. Chin Chu was speechless. Sure enough, Pudding's questions were difficult to answer. Chapter 18:12. Pudding, why are you asking this all of a sudden? Chin Chu didn't answer her question directly. He realized that he couldn't treat Pudding as a kid anymore. Her IQ was off the charts. I've been thinking about this for a long time. Before you came back, Mommy couldn't have a baby with someone else, so I never asked. Now that Daddy is back, this could happen at any time. I have to ask first so I can be mentally prepared. Chin Chu was speechless. Sis, you're thinking too much. Aren't you worrying too much? Pudding asked as she chewed on noodles. What do you know? This is called preparing for a rainy day. If we're like you and plan ahead, we'll be miserable. Pudding, if you're in an ancient palace drama, I bet you won't last more than 1 episode. Impossible. I'll make it to 1.5 episodes. Pudding refused to admit defeat. Chin Chu's forehead was covered in cold sweat. What the hell was going on? Pudding, if Mommy and I want a second child, will you be okay with it? Chin Chu asked tentatively. Pudding thought for a moment and said slowly, I don't mind. I'm not an only child, so 1 more or 1 less doesn't make a big difference to me. That's right, even if it's just 1 sheep, it's still the same as letting 2 sheep go. We don't mind having 1 more sheep at home. But Daddy, if we don't mind you giving birth to a younger brother, will you mind us teaming up to bully him? Pudding asked. Chin Chu was speechless again. These 2 kids were really smart, weren't they? They said they didn't mind their parents having a second child, but they didn't want their parents to mind them bullying their younger brother. Oh my God, what kind of logic was this? Daddy, why aren't you saying anything? Is this a hard question to answer? Pudding asked. No, Daddy was thinking. I don't have the final say in having a second child. It's up to your mommy. Plus, it's not easy to have a baby. You can't have one just because you want it. It depends on fate. Didn't Mommy go through a lot of trouble to get you 2 pregnant? So, it's still too early to say anything, Chin Chu explained patiently. So, Daddy, you haven't answered my question yet. Pudding refused to let go. Pudding, to be honest, Daddy wants to have more children. After all, I love your mommy so much that even a football team isn't enough. But it depends on the situation. If mommy's body doesn't allow it, Daddy won't let her suffer again. What do you think? Okay, you pass. But, if you have a younger brother or sister in the future, Daddy can't be biased. Right? If Daddy favors the little one, we'll be unhappy. If we're unhappy, the consequences will be very serious. Little Bean threatened her father. Chin-Chu didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but I don't have to worry. With my IQ, I won't lose to any younger siblings. Pudding was very confident in herself. She believed that even if she gave birth to a few younger siblings, she wouldn't be left out. Does IQ have anything to do with who Daddy and Mommy like? Funny. What's important is who's more attractive, right? It's hard for people not to like a cute girl like me. Little Bean began to be narcissistic. Chapter 18:13. Babies, it's time to eat the noodles. Otherwise they'll get cold, Chin-Chu reminded them out of kindness. However, he thought that taking care of children wasn't easy. He originally thought that the twins were easy to coax. He thought they could eat, drink, and have fun. However, he didn't expect the twins to say such shocking things. His sister, in particular, would ask him difficult questions all of a sudden, and he had to answer them with trepidation. He was afraid that he would make his daughters unhappy if he said something wrong. In the past 4 years, Chin-Chu felt guilty towards Huamin. However, he knew that Huamin understood him, so he could slowly warm up to him. However, the twins were strangers to him, so he was eager to bond with his daughters. He didn't expect it to be so difficult. Daddy, is there something on your mind? Pudding glanced at her father and asked. Oh, liar. Your eyes seem to be telling me that you're deeply worried. Chin-Chu was speechless. Daddy, what are you unhappy about? Tell us and make us happy, Little Bean added. Chin-Chu was speechless. Daddy, don't listen to Little Bean. She's just teasing you. Tell me what's on your mind. I can help you. Pudding, you're still a kid. There are many things you don't understand. For example, Pudding looked at Chin-Chu warmly and continued to ask. Daddy, you just came back and have a lot of things to deal with. When I think about those things, I have to be careful. Daddy, you're worried that we haven't been by your side for the past few years. So our hearts are with Handsome Sue, right? Pudding hit the nail on the head. Chin-Chu's eyes widened as he stared at his 3-year-old daughter, unable to utter a single word. How did the kid know? Pudding and Little Bean, do you like Daddy more or Uncle Sue more? Chin-Chu didn't want to be so low and ask such a stupid question, but maybe he was infected by his daughters and wanted to ask a multiple-choice question. In fact, he was quite worried when he asked the question. He was afraid that the two sisters would say that they liked Suyu, or that their answers would be too official. If that happened, he would definitely feel a little disappointed. Oh, if that's the case, Daddy, don't worry. We don't have the same feelings for Daddy and Handsome Sue. We can't compare them, Little Bean said as she sipped her soup. How different. Chin-Chu patted Little Bean's head lovingly. Pudding, you tell me. I'll drink this soup first. Little Bean pointed at her sister. He threw the question to Pudding. Pudding pondered for a few seconds and replied, Daddy, if I tell you, you can't get angry. Daddy won't. How could he bear to get angry with you guys? Chin-Chu's guilt towards Huamin and his children over the past few years had made him make up his mind. Even if the two sisters burned down the villa for fun, he would not have the heart to get angry. His life creed was to spoil his wife and daughter so much that no one else could bear it. That way they would belong to him forever. Although Mr. Chin was a quiet man of few words, he was very possessive. We love you very much, Daddy. Although we weren't with you when we were little, ever since we were little or when we were in Mommy's belly, she has been telling us about you and Daddy. Now we've heard so much that we can recite the story of how you two met and fell in love. We also know that Mommy and Daddy love each other very much. We also know that Daddy loves us very much. You were forced to leave us because of a lot of helplessness. So we treat you as someone as important as Mommy. We love you guys very, very much. After hearing this, Chin-Chu felt something warm flowing through his heart. Chapter 18:14. Pudding, who had always been cold and arrogant, could be so touching when she was warm. Little Bean nodded repeatedly as if she agreed with Pudding. But we also love Handsome Sue very much. He's been with us since we were born, and in the past few years, no matter what we wanted, he'd buy it for us, even if we wanted the stars in the sky. Mommy sometimes gets impatient with us because we're still kids and can do things that give people headaches. But handsome Sue has never been impatient with us in the past 3 years. He really treats us like his own children. I don't think many men in the world can love someone else's children without being related by blood. Of course, some people say that handsome Sue has a motive that he wants to court Mommy. But I have to say that even if he has a motive, it's not easy for him to go this far. After a long time, even cats and dogs will develop feelings for each other, let alone humans. So, in our hearts we love handsome Sue as well. Especially after Daddy came back. You've heard handsome Sue more than 10,000 times. We and Mommy are immersed in the happiness of your return, but handsome Sue has to face the reality of losing everything by himself. Pudding couldn't continue and tears welled up in her big watery eyes. Little Bean saw this and immediately put down her spoon. She continued, for the past 3 years, handsome Sue has been living in a beautiful fantasy. Maybe he thought that Daddy wouldn't come back and he thought that Mommy and us belonged to him. Until you came back he suddenly lost everything. Maybe he's a little greedy and wants something that doesn't belong to him. But that still can't erase the love and care he's shown us over the past few years. Although Daddy and handsome Sue are rivals in love, we hope that you won't make things too difficult for us and Mommy. We also hope that Daddy won't interfere with our relationship with handsome Sue. Although it's a little selfish and a little cruel to Daddy, it's our wish. Daddy, please grant us our wish. After the twins finished speaking, Chin-Chu was deeply shocked. There was only one main point in the two sisters' words, which was that they loved Daddy and handsome Sue, both of them. Pudding, Little Bean. I'm not an unreasonable person. I've been very grateful to Sue you for all these years. I can understand that you guys love him and I won't be jealous. My return has hurt Sue you a lot. You guys are right. I won't interfere with you guys and I won't interfere with the special relationship between your Mommy and Sue you. Be it friends or confidants, people should learn to be grateful. If it weren't for the Sue family, Daddy wouldn't be happy today. That's great. I knew Daddy was a sensible person. Little Bean smiled sweetly. Thank you, Daddy. Pudding was relieved, but her reaction wasn't as big as Little Bean's. In comparison, Boss was more reserved, more like Chin-Chu. At this time, Chin-Chu's phone rang. He picked up his phone and glanced at it. Daddy, I need to take this. While Chin-Chu was on the phone, Little Bean moved closer to Pudding and asked in a low voice, Sis, are we going to talk about this today? Do you want to tell Daddy that we're going to marry handsome Sue? Daddy is under a lot of pressure. He won't be able to accept it all at once. Let's take it slow, Pudding said calmly. I mean, you're right. I'm the one who's going to marry handsome Sue, not us, Pudding corrected her. Damn it. How can that be? I want him too, I don't care. I can give you everything else but not handsome Sue. Little Bean seemed a little agitated. Please keep your voice down. Don't let Daddy hear you. Pudding glanced at Little Bean's angry face. GK headquarters, President Hua and has a favor to ask. After the morning meeting, An followed Huamin into his office. What is it? Huamin looked up at An. Chapter 1815. An hopes that President Hua can visit President Sue. Huamin was speechless. Ever since President Hua's husband came back, President Sue has been in a bad mood. He hasn't been to the company for the past few days. I think it must be a big blow to him. In the past few years he's treated you and the twins as his family. Now that he suddenly lost so much, I'm afraid he won't be able to pull himself out of it. After all, this is a big blow to him. About this, don't worry, I won't leave him in the lurch. In fact, even if An didn't say anything, Huamin wouldn't leave Suyu in the lurch. Even though he had told Suyu everything that day, Huamin didn't want to leave him in the lurch. However, Huamin knew that even though everyone understood the big picture, it wasn't as simple as giving up something. And had been by Huamin's side for 3 years. He had gone through life and death with Huamin, so they had a deep relationship. However, he still cared about his old master. Therefore he, who had always been a man of few words, actually took the initiative to ask Huamin to visit Suyu. It was truly rare. Thank you, President Hua. You don't have to thank me. And you've been by my side for the past few years. It's really been hard on you. It's nothing. It's what I should do. You've been by my side protecting us and helping us so much. I'm very grateful, but I don't think I can be a burden to you guys now. I wanted to talk about this after I was done with work. But since we're here today, I'll be direct. I hope you can return to Su Yu's side and accompany him. And protect him because to him, you're no longer just a bodyguard and assistant. You're more like a confidant, a friend. Then what about you? And frowned slightly. I still have Bella. I'll make other arrangements to protect me. I think Su Yu needs someone by his side right now. Then, you should talk to President Su. Otherwise he won't let me go back. Shaoan had said that he wanted to go back, but Su Yu didn't let him. He was worried that Hua Xiqian was up to no good. Okay, I'll go back and talk to Su Yu alone. Alright, I'll leave you to it then. President Hua, I'm going out. Huamin nodded. After and left, Huamin picked up his phone. She opened her WeChat moments and looked at the status that Su Yu had posted last night. I've heard many great truths, but I still can't live a good life. Huamin looked at this post and suddenly felt very sad. Such decadent words were not Su Yu's style at all. He was so sunny, so high profile and always full of confidence. She had everything she wanted. She was in a high position and had money. However, such a person with looks, status, power and money lamented that he had not lived a good life. He didn't want to leave anyone else a way out. Then Huamin sighed slightly. It seemed like she really had to find time to visit Su Yu. She couldn't let him continue to be so depressed. At this moment her phone rang. It was a video call from Qin Chu. Qin Chu was using the same number as before. Huamin's heart warmed up at the familiarity that she hadn't felt in a long time. Honey. The moment she saw Qin Chu, Huamin instantly turned into a shy girl. Honey, have you eaten? Not yet. I had a long meeting this morning. Are you tired? No. I'm used to it. What are you guys doing? I brought pudding and Little Bean to eat at Oxan's Ramen. I can't believe you guys went to Oxan's Ramen without me. Our friendship is over. Huamin was actually jealous of her daughter. She pouted and looked very cute. Oh my god. I didn't know mommy had such a side to her. She's so scary. Little Bean was dumbfounded. Chapter 18:16. It's nothing strange. All women act like this when they see the man they love. Mommy is rational, but in the end I'm still a woman. Pudding sipped her soda calmly. So mommy is also a cute girl, Pudding exclaimed. When you're free we'll come again as a family of 4. Qin Chu smiled dotingly. Did you miss me today? As soon as Huamin asked, before Qin Chu could reply, Pudding couldn't sit still anymore. Mommy, you've only been apart for less than 4 hours. How can you ask that? Mommy, you're so silly and sweet when you're in love. What an eye-opener, Pudding interrupted. Don't disturb me when I'm talking to Daddy. Pudding, she's been very emotional lately. Pudding, is it because she got older? Pudding, unlikely. After all, she's only 28 years old. Pudding, then it's because her husband is back and she's become arrogant. Pudding, that makes sense. Then let's not mess with her for the time being. Pudding, why don't we tell her to move to Handsome Sue's place for a few days? Pudding, huh? Good idea, but you should tell her. Pudding, why me and not you? Pudding, because acting cute and kissing up to people is your strength. Pudding, you're talking as if you've never done that before. Don't pretend to be a white lotus in front of me. Be careful or you'll be slapped in the face. Huamin, are you two done arguing? Qin Zhaozhao, Qin Mumu? Pudding, mommy, calm down. Pudding, you have to be gentle in front of Daddy. Otherwise, which man can stand a tigress after a long time? It's fine if she's not pretty, but if she's not virtuous, then don't blame others. Huamin, Qin Chu, who were standing on the side, couldn't help but burst out laughing. When was the last time he was so happy? In the past, he had always thought that his wife had a sharp tongue and was very eloquent. The student had surpassed the master. His 2 daughters had defeated their mother in a matter of seconds. They had actually managed to drive Huamin crazy. Looks like, I really have to think about sending you to kindergarten. You can't stay at home. Huamin's face darkened. It was so embarrassing to lose to her daughter in an argument in front of her husband. Forget about kindergarten. There's a generation gap between me and those kids. I don't have anything in common with them, Pudding said in disdain. I don't want to go either. It's a waste of my time. Why don't we just take the elementary school graduation exam and go to middle school? Little Bean suggested. You guys are only 3 years old. 3 years old. Huamin emphasized. I know. It's because we're only 3 years old that we have to go to the boring middle school. If we were older, we would have gone straight to the high school. After all, there are more young men there. Pudding said proudly. Huamin, on the other hand, was so shocked that he didn't know what to say. Honey, why don't we give our daughters away and have another child? Huh? Honey, how can we do that? I can't bear to part with my precious daughters. Qin Chu couldn't stop laughing. Why was it that after becoming a father he felt completely different from before? He laughed a lot more than before. As long as he had daughters at home, everything would be fine. If mommy gives us to handsome Sue, we can consider it. But if it's someone else, forget it. They can't afford to raise us. It's too expensive. Little Bean was infatuated again. Honey, look at them, they're always talking back to me. They're so young and they're already so rebellious. What will they do when they grow up? So, Mr. Qin, I'm seriously reminding you that you have to control your daughters. Huamin complained like a spoiled child. Chapter 1817. Qin Chu turned around and glanced at his two daughters. Little Bean continued to play cute. Daddy, mommy is being irrational, but you can't be irrational. We don't want to be her bargaining chip and cannon fodder. Look at our names, you won't have the heart to blame us. Qin Zhao Zhao and Qin Mumu, Zhao Zhao and Mumu. Zhao Zhao and Mumu. If they loved each other for a long time, they wouldn't be together day and night. You can see how much mommy missed you back then. We were born to be your scapegoat. Daddy, do you really have the heart to bully us? Pudding looked at Little Bean with puppy eyes and said, Good girl, Daddy understands. Daddy loves you guys very much and won't blame you. Qin Chu really couldn't bring himself to do it. Honey, are you betraying us? Are you on their side? Do you have any principles? Huamin was speechless. Honey, they're your daughters too. You should go easy on them, Qin Chu comforted gently. Huamin was speechless. Very good. You three just wait. I'll deal with you guys after I get off work. In the end, Qin Chu and his two daughters were on the same side while Huamin was helpless and hung up the video call angrily. Huh? Is mommy angry? Little Bean was worried. No, she's just throwing a tantrum in front of Daddy. She hopes that Daddy can coax her. Women all have their little tricks up their sleeves. Okay, I'll learn this trick too. I'll use it against handsome Sue in the future. Little Bean smiled wickedly. Huamin had been busy at the company for the whole day. When it was almost time to get off work, Huamin couldn't sit still. He kept looking at his watch. President Hua, what's wrong? Do you have something going on tonight? Bella was confused. Do you have plans tonight? Just a dinner party. It's not very important. Oh, then let Xixin go in my place, Huamin said slowly. And okay. Bella, actually, I want to leave early. Huamin stuttered. Bella, you're the president, you can leave whenever you want. You don't have to leave early, huh? Bella felt that President Hua was becoming more and more adorable. I don't think that's a good idea. After all, this is my job. Huamin was in a difficult position. It's all right. Go ahead, President Hua. We understand. President Qin has just returned, so it's inevitable that you two will have more time together as husband and wife. Bella snickered. Then, help me keep an eye on them. If anything happens, just call me. All right. With Bella's words, Huamin rushed downstairs without any hesitation and drove straight home. On the way, he received a call from Jiang Xiaowei. Mian, are you still at the company? No, I got off work. I'm on my way home. Is it convenient for you to come to the first hospital? Xiaowei, what's wrong? Huamin had a bad feeling when he heard Huamin mention the first hospital. Mian, did you know that Lord Su is sick? Sick? When? Huamin froze slightly and his hands paused on the steering wheel. He's already in the hospital. I just received a call from Wei Liao. Tang Chuan and the others are all there, as is Auntie Su. Xiaowei, what's wrong with Su Yu? Is it serious? Huamin asked worriedly. He was just thinking about how to comfort Su Yu when he got sick. Who knew that such a strong man could be so fragile? Chapter 1818. High fever. We don't know what's causing it yet. We'll have to analyze the situation before we can make a conclusion. Okay, I got it. I'll go home first and go with Mr. Qin and the others. You guys go together. Jiang Xiaowei was a bit surprised. Pudding and Little Bean have always been close to Su Yu. If they know he's sick, they'll definitely make a scene. Plus, it's not appropriate for me to see Su Yu alone. I think the more we see him, the more pain he'll be in. I think it's better to go with Mr. Chin and see if he can let go of his obsession. Okay, I know what you mean. I'll go with my son in a bit. See you later. After the phone call with Xiaowei, Huamin drove back to South Hill Manor. Mommy, thank you for your hard work. I love you. Seeing Huamian come back, Little Bean immediately ran to her and threw herself into her arms. Then she started acting like a spoiled child. Pudding held Chin-Chu's hand and watched coldly from behind. Daddy, see? I was right. Little Bean is a bootlicker. She's really good at sweet-talking people. She's probably afraid that your mommy will come after you guys because of what happened today. Mommy won't. She's a woman with a tough mouth but a soft heart, Pudding analyzed. Chin-Chu tilted his head and looked at Pudding lovingly. This boss was really his biological one. They were so much alike. No matter what the situation was, she was always calm and collected. Honey, you're back just in time. Let's eat. Let's not talk for now. We need to go to the first hospital. Huamin didn't have time to change his shoes. What's wrong? Su Yu is in the hospital. They said he has a high fever. The Su family is all there. Xiaowei just called me. I think we should go and see him. Okay, let's go now. Chin-Chu nodded, agreeing with Huamin. He held Pudding's hand and walked out. Hearing that Su Yu was hospitalized, Pudding and Little Bean looked very nervous. Oh my God, is handsome Su sick? Little Bean exclaimed. Mommy, let's go now. Otherwise we'll be stuck in traffic during rush hour. Pudding couldn't wait any longer. The family of 4 left just like that because there was a limited number of people in the sports car. Therefore, Chin-Chu drove his original Maybach to the first hospital with his wife and child. Entrance of the VIP ward. Me. You're here. Lady Su looked haggard. Grandma, don't be sad. Handsome Su will be fine, Pudding comforted her. Grandma Su, I've missed you for the past 2 days. Sob sob. Let me hug you first. Little Bean continued to bootlick and act coquettishly. Lady Su liked the twins very much. She immediately squatted down, kissed one of them and hugged the other. She loved them dearly from the bottom of her heart. Auntie, how's Su Yu? Huamin looked worried. The test results aren't out yet. I'm waiting too. This kid is so troublesome. I always thought he was in good health. How did he become like this all of a sudden? Tang Chuan and Wei Liao went downstairs to buy water. When they came back they saw Huamin and Chin-Chu. Tang Chuan didn't look too good. At a time like this, Lord Su wouldn't want to see your family reunited, right? Dr. Hua, I think you shouldn't provoke Lord Su. After all, he only has one life, Tang Chuan said sarcastically. Wei Liao even mocked him, reminding him not to cross the line. Chapter 18-19. Ever since Chin-Chu came back and Huamin returned home, Tang Chuan had been very angry. Although Wei Liao tried to comfort him several times, Tang Chuan was too straightforward and couldn't help but make sarcastic remarks. Chuan, how can you say that? Mion's family is here to visit you, he'll be happy, Lady Su corrected him. Auntie. Tang Chuan seemed very unhappy. Just then the door to the ward opened and the doctor who examined Su Yu walked out. Daughter, how's my son? Lady Su immediately went up and asked. Young Master Su's condition has stabilized. It's not a big problem. It's just that he hasn't been eating and resting well recently, which caused his immune system to drop rapidly. We've already given him an injection to reduce his fever and he's on a nutrient drip now. You can go in and visit him now. Okay, thank you, doctor. Then Lady Su led everyone into the ward. Su Yu was slowly waking up. If it weren't for Tang Chuan's frequent visits to his house, he would have been in bed for a long time already. He didn't even know that he had a fever and was delirious from it. You're all here. It's just a small matter, there's no need to make such a big fuss. Su Yu forced a smile. I was so worried about you. Little Bean couldn't help but cry. Then she ran over and lay down in front of Su Yu's bed. Little Bean, don't cry. Uncle Su is fine, Su Yu comforted the little girl gently. Pudding also walked over slowly. Compared to Little Bean, she wasn't as outgoing and didn't like to show her emotions on her face. Pudding was more introverted, so she didn't cry out loud. Instead, tears welled up in her eyes. Handsome Su, you have to get better soon. You promised me that you'd teach me how to race. Can you lower your voice? Your mommy will skin me alive. Su Yu was scared out of his wits. If Huamin knew that Su Yu taught Pudding how to race, he would probably go crazy. Don't worry. Mommy has daddy now. She doesn't have time for us, Pudding said in a low voice. Suyu couldn't help but laugh, and then he patted Pudding's head lovingly. Because there were too many people, there were some things that were too embarrassing to say. Chin-Chu and Huamin sat for a while before leaving. Pudding and Little Bean didn't want to leave, so they stayed. In a while, Shaoan would personally escort them away. On the way back, Chin-Chu was silent. Honey, what are you thinking about? I was thinking, why do my daughters seem so sad about Suyu? You just realized. Huamin laughed heartily at Mr. Chin's lack of awareness. Were they like this before? They've been like this since they were little. Actually, kids are very innocent. They'll treat whoever treats them well. In the past few years, Suyu has been treating them well in various ways, giving them everything they want. They definitely like Suyu a lot, that's normal. Why? Are you jealous? No. I'm just worried about something. What is it? Huamin froze for a second when he saw how serious Chin-Chu was. When they grow up, they won't turn their feelings and dependence into feelings for each other, right? Chin-Chu was really worried. He originally thought that Pudding and Little Bean were just joking, but now it seemed that the sisters really did treat Suyu differently. So Mr. Chin had to start thinking about life again. You're killing me. Huamin burst out laughing when he heard Chin-Chu's worries. Chapter 1820. Honey, can you not laugh so crazily? Chin-Chu was speechless. I can't believe you have such thoughts. You're amazing. Haven't you noticed that the twins have a strong reaction to Suyu? I have. They've always been like this. Don't be surprised. They often tell me that they want to marry Suyu when they grow up. They often argue about who Suyu likes more. But they're just kids. When they grow up and understand the relationship between a man and a woman, they won't feel this way anymore. It's not just because of the age gap. The most important thing is that they don't even know what kind of feelings they have for Suyu. What kind of feelings do you think they have? Chin-Chu tilted his head and looked at Huamin seriously. It's a very subtle feeling. It's a little lighter than the feeling of a father, but it's also deeper than an ordinary elder. It's a kind of extreme dependence and love. But in the end, it's still the feeling of an elder. You're right. I hope you're right. I don't want my daughters to marry an old man in the future. Plus, that old man is an old acquaintance of mine. Huamin burst out laughing. What are you laughing at? Do you want Suyu to call you mother-in-law in the future? Huamin, honey, you've changed in the past 4 years. What changed? Chin-Chu was confused. You've become childish. Your IQ has plummeted. Huamin laughed happily. Chin-Chu, on the other hand, was dumbfounded. It was rare that they didn't have to take the twins with them, so Huamin suggested that they eat something before going home. Chin-Chu and Huamin held hands and found a clean Chinese restaurant just like they did when they were teenagers. After dinner, they went to the nearby Rainbow Square to enjoy the night view, which was rare. At 7 o'clock in the evening, the northern winter was already dark and the cold wind was blowing gently. However, that didn't stop the enthusiastic citizens from entertaining themselves in the spacious and beautiful square. The aunties were dancing in the square and the children were riding on the scooters. There were even small accessories, nail clippers, hair clips, and everything else that the old grandfathers and grandmothers had set up stalls to sell. Huamin was wearing a beige cashmere coat and a light green scarf. She held Chin-Chu's arm tightly. She suddenly felt that this winter was not so cold. Chin-Chu was wearing a black casual jacket. He didn't look like a man in his early 30s at all. Perhaps it was because he was too handsome, so when he walked on the streets he would often attract the attention of many girls. Every time this happened, Huamin would feel a sense of superiority. Such a handsome Mr. Chin would only belong to her. This pride was the greatest affirmation she had for Mr. Chin and herself. Honey, are you cold? Chin-Chu held Huamin's hand. I'm not cold. Let's walk a little longer. Okay. Chin-Chu nodded. He held Huamin's hand and slowly walked on the small path in the square. Honey, yeah? These 4 years must have been hard for you, right? Huamin asked softly. It wasn't hard. Everything I did for you guys was worth it. Upon hearing this, Huamin felt a lump in her throat. Mr. Chin never talked about his 4 years in Seattle in detail, and he only mentioned the complicated and terrifying surgeries. However, Huamin could feel his pain. Every time she thought about how Chin-Chu was forced to leave her and how much inhumane pain he suffered, Huamin wanted to stab Huasichin dozens of times to vent her anger. Do you have any plans for now? Huamin took a deep breath. She was afraid that Chinchu would feel sad as well, so she changed the topic. What are you talking about? Huasiqian. Huamin replied in a low voice. Yeah, I have plans, and I'm already implementing them. Chinchu smiled faintly with his usual confidence. Huamin was slightly surprised. She looked up at him. Before Huamin could ask more, Chinchu lowered his head and gently kissed her cold lips. Then he slowly nibbled on her lips, with endless love. Chapter 1821. How long had it been since Huamin and Chinchu had a romantic moment together? She had almost forgotten how it felt. Now, Chinchu's passionate kiss made her feel as if she had returned to her shy teenage years. Huamin was already 28 years old. Her twin daughters were already 3 years old, so she was no longer a teenage girl. However, Chinchu was the only man who could make her heart flutter and turn her into a naive, innocent and sweet man. She thought that no one in the world could give her this feeling other than Chinchu. Chinchu and Huamin kissing in public was a small matter. It was normal for a married couple to be lovey-dovey. The problem was there were abnormal people following them. Over the past few years, Huasiqian couldn't get close to Huamin, but his obsession didn't decrease. Instead, it deepened. He seemed to want to see Huamin's every move. He had several cabinets full of Huamin's photos. Over the past 3 years, no matter if it was Huamin attending meetings, attending ribbon-cutting ceremonies, business dinners, negotiating business deals, going on personal trips, or accompanying his daughters to the amusement park, Huasiqian's people would always follow him around and take countless photos. Inside the Hua Manor, Huasiqian looked at these photos with a gloomy expression on his face. Boss, why don't we do it tonight? Are you brainless? If Chinchu wasn't fully prepared, how could he come back in time? Since he's back, it means that he's always on guard. If you do it tonight, I can guarantee that all of us will die. Huasiqian had always been cautious when doing things. Yes, you're right. Huasiqian's fingers trembled slightly as he held onto the photos. Chinchu and Huamian kissed in public without a care for their image. This wasn't lovey-dovey, this was cutting into his heart. If Suyu was in pain, he could show it. But for Huasiqian, this was an internal injury. He had no way of showing his internal injuries. Boss, Miss Imo is here. Upon hearing this, Huasiqian swiftly put away the photos, placed them in his desk drawer and stood up. Imo Schweger walked in. She was wearing a strapless dress and a gray fur coat. She looked as elegant and classy as ever. Imo Schweger continued to pester Huasiqian for the past few years, but Huasiqian no longer touched her. Other than occasionally fooling around with Jiang Yi, she also made a bunch of shady friends. Although they were all rich kids in the circle of rich people, they were also notorious young thugs. Compared to Su Yu and Tang Chuan, they were simply not on the same level. Imo Schweger was still a celebrity under Huasiqian's company, but Huasiqian no longer supported her. He seemed to be disappointed in her. Xiqian, you don't look well. Are you in a bad mood? Imo Schweger walked over with a smile. Why are you here? I missed you, we've been together for so many years. We've been together longer than some couples. You know how much I love you. Huh? Don't you think it's funny that you're saying this? But I'm really here to see you out of the goodness of my heart, Xiqian. You can't keep people at arm's length. Chinchu is back. You're going to be in big trouble. He's not the type to let you go, so what? Do you think I'm afraid of him? He's just Chinchu. I kicked him out 4 years ago. 4 years later, I'll still make sure he's unable to make a comeback. What if Chinchu and Suyu team up? Imo Schweger asked with a smile. Do you think that's possible? Chinchu is such an arrogant person, why would he team up with Suyu to go against me? Huasiqian sneered. Chapter 1822. He knew Chinchu too well. All these years he had been so cold and aloof. No matter how difficult it was, he would never team up with Suyu. That might not be the case. Things have changed. I heard. Imo Schweger purposely paused. What did you hear? I heard that Huamin's 2 little bastards are very close to Suyu. If the children mediate between them, it won't be difficult for them to team up. I'm afraid you won't be able to handle it. Why would I be afraid of 2 little kids? Schwerer, have you been taking too many drugs lately? You're starting to talk nonsense. Huasiqian disliked Imo Schweger more and more, compared to when they first met. Huasiqian liked the innocent little girl more. Her eyes were clear and her smile was a little shy. Not this scheming person who was two-faced in front and two-faced in the back. Emo Schweier might be a goddess in the eyes of her fans, but in Hua Xiqian's eyes she was now a real whore. Hua Xiqian didn't care about what she said. She wasn't persuasive at all. If you think that way you'll regret it. If I were you I'd find a chance to kidnap those two little bastards. Then whether it's Qin Chu Huamin or Su Yu they'll all surrender. Let's end the conversation here. I'm a little tired. I'll send Ms. Emo out. Hua Xiqian felt like Emo Schweiger was getting more and more ridiculous. If it was so easy to catch the twins he wouldn't be so troubled. He couldn't get Huamin. Were the twins that easy to catch? Emo Schweiger was speaking like she didn't care about her back. You can't even do it for your own good. You don't want to listen to anything I say. You're already in your 30s. Let's see how long you can be stubborn. You'd be pitiful if you don't even have children in the end. Emo Schweiger said sarcastically. In the past Hua Xiqian would have rushed down and slapped Emo Schweiger so hard that she saw stars. But now he wouldn't. He didn't want to say another word to this crazy woman. Therefore when Hua Xiqian heard Emo Schweiger's sarcasm, he stopped in his tracks and said without turning his head, "You better keep a low profile for a while. If you cause any trouble don't blame me for what happens next." Emo Schweiger saw Yan Ruoshi walking in when she was about to leave. Oh, isn't this the heiress of a rich family? Emo Schweiger held a cigarette in her hand and smiled faintly. Miss Em, what a coincidence you're here too. Yan Ruoshi wasn't familiar with Emo Schweiger. She only knew that Emo Schweiger was Hua Xiqian's ex-girlfriend, so she wasn't friendly to her. I missed Xiqian so I came to see him. Oh right, Miss Yan, Xiqian has a lot of stamina. You have to eat more or he won't be happy if you can't serve him. Then Emo Schweiger let out two lewd laughs and left. Yan Ruoshi's face was gloomy. Qian. Yan Ruoshi stood at the bedroom door and called out Hua Xiqian's name coquettishly. Why are you here? I missed you. There's a big Marvel movie coming out. It's called Doctor or something. It's really good. Come with me, I just bought 2 tickets. It's the premiere. I don't have time. I have a video conference later. It's okay. We can watch it tomorrow or when you're free. Yan Ruoshi smiled as she walked in. She sat on the sofa and looked at Hua Xiqian lovingly. Ruoshi, yeah? I'm not suitable for you, Hua Xiqian said in all seriousness as he looked at Yan Ruoshi. Chapter 1823. If it was before, Hua Xiqian would have used this brainless woman just like he used Song Yisher. But now he really didn't have time to think about her. He only felt a growing sense of crisis. He couldn't deal with Su Yu and now Qin Chu was back. Emo Schweier was right. He was in a difficult situation. Right now he only wanted to get Huamin as soon as possible. Nothing else mattered. No one is born for each other. It's because we don't know each other that we're slowly getting used to each other. I've been very happy to be by your side for the past 3 years. But I'm not happy. I don't like you at all. You're still young. Don't waste your time. Hua Xiqian waved his hand as if he wanted to send Yan Ruoshi away. So, are you trying to tell me that you've always had a woman in your heart and her name is Huamin? Yan Ruoshi asked with a smile as she looked at Hua Xiqian. It doesn't matter who I like. Don't try to be smart. I hate women who pretend to be smart when they're actually stupid. I'm not trying to be smart. I know what you're thinking. But Qian, you have to know that Huamin doesn't love you. Plus, even if young Master Su treats her so well, she didn't even give him a loving hug after being with him for 3 or 4 years. Who do you think you are? Yan Ruoshi, my family matters have nothing to do with you. You should go back. Then Hua Xiqian rudely pulled off his tie and turned to leave. He left Yan Ruoshi alone in his bedroom. Inside the VIP room at the first hospital, Handsome Su, do you want some water? Pudding asked. Su Yu shook his head. Thanks Pudding, but I don't drink water. Handsome Su, do you want a piece of jelly bean? It's orange flavored. She carefully took out a piece of jelly bean from the pocket of her floral dress. No thanks little bean. Su Yu looked at the sisters lovingly. Tang Chuan couldn't stand it anymore. He chewed on his gum and reprimanded them. You two don't play games here. I know you two are smart and full of stuff. Why don't you go back and persuade your mommy not to continue torturing Lord Su? He's miserable enough, really. Ever since he met your mother a few years ago, he hasn't had a good day. What nonsense are you talking about? Su Yu glared at Tang Chuan. Am I not telling the truth? That's the truth, isn't it? I'd say you're an idiot. She treated you like a spare tire. When her husband wasn't back, she kept you hanging. But when her husband came back, she immediately kicked you away. Lord Su, even if you don't feel pain, I feel pain for you. Tang Chuan was really angry. When he said this, only Wei Liao, Su Yu and the twins were in the room. Luckily, Lady Su wasn't here, or else she would be furious. Little Bean lowered her head, thinking about how to fight back against Tang Chuan. She turned her head, glanced at Tang Chuan's face and asked, Uncle Tang, do you enjoy meddling in other people's business? Do you know that in China, there's an old saying that goes, the eunuch is more anxious than the emperor? Huh. Little girl, what do you mean? Tang Chuan looked at Little Bean, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. My sister's meaning is very clear. She means that Handsome Su is the emperor and you're the eunuch, Little Bean explained patiently. Tang Chuan, Little Bean, no one will like you if you talk like that. Don't worry, there are many people who don't like us. Who do you think you are? Little Bean continued to add insult to injury. I say, you two little things are really... Uncle Tang, at your age you should take care of your kidney and not worry about other people's business. No matter what happens between Handsome Su and Mommy, it's none of your business. Even if Mommy really owes Handsome Su and wronged him, it's all up to Handsome Su. As long as Handsome Su is happy, Tang Chuan. See, now that the twins are teaching you a lesson, you'll be obedient and won't bully Huamin anymore. Wei Liao laughed. Old Wei, I'm telling you, you can't have a daughter-in-law like her. She's too scary. Tang Chuan couldn't help but laugh. The problem is, even if my son wants to marry her, she might not marry him. Wei Liao continued to joke. Pudding glanced at Tang Chuan indifferently and turned to ask Su Yu. Handsome Su, tell me, has Mommy really treated you as a spare tire these years? Did she purposely leave you hanging? Today, I have to make things clear so that no one will always use words to attack my mommy and bully her kindness. Chapter 1824. Of course not. Your Uncle Su is so smart, how could I be treated as a spare tire? What a joke, Su Yu answered without hesitation. Humph. Ask Lord Su, of course he won't tell you. He's so protective of your mommy. Tang Chuan was obviously not satisfied. Uncle Wei, what do you think? Pudding turned around and looked at Wei Liao. Wei Liao obviously didn't expect to be implicated. Pudding immediately ran over and held Wei Liao's hand. Yes, Uncle Wei, you said that you're an outsider. You should be the most convincing. I think, that your mommy wouldn't treat Lord Su as a spare tire. After all, he's not even a spare tire right now. Damn it. Wei Liao, are you trying to belittle me? Su Yu was so angry that he almost sat up. See, you're not even a spare tire. Tang Chuan laughed. I mean, although you're not as good as a spare tire, it's a good thing. Spare tires aren't worth much. Plus, only a car that always breaks down needs a spare tire. Huamin only has one real husband. Let's not fantasize here. Wei Liao analyzed. Uncle Wei's words are very pertinent and very convincing. There are 5 people in the room right now and the vote is 4-1, Tang Chuan. So, Uncle Tang, please don't talk nonsense in the future. If I hear you bad-mouthing mommy behind her back again. Pudding said very slowly. Tang Chuan crossed his arms and laughed. What will you do to me? We have many ways to deal with you. Don't challenge our patience. And don't challenge my sister's psychological defenses, she's very scary. Pudding said. After Pudding said this, everyone laughed. At this moment, Lady Su came in with a nurse and changed Su Yu's for. Little Bean, Pudding, are you guys hungry? Grandma will take you to eat. Lady Su looked at the twins lovingly. Grandma Su, we're done eating. As long as Handsome Su is fine, we should go home. Grandma hasn't spent enough time with you guys. Lady Su was reluctant to leave. Little Bean ran over and hugged Lady Su's leg, acting cute. Grandma, don't be sad. We'll come to see you later. We also have to see Grandpa Lord Su and Great-Grandpa. You have to make us your best grape and osmanthus cake. Hey. Grandma will make whatever you want to eat. Lady Su felt that her heart was about to melt. Grandma Su, is Uncle An outside? Pudding asked calmly. Let him send you back. Okay. Pudding nodded. Then she turned around and looked at Su Yu. Handsome Su, get well soon. Okay, I'm fine. Don't worry and don't come back and forth. It's too dangerous. Su Yu was worried. Handsome Su, if you want to eat anything, remember to tell me. I'll ask the maid to make it for you, Little Bean added. If you want to eat, just say so. Don't use Handsome Su as an excuse. Pudding glanced at her sister helplessly. Impossible. I really care about handsome Sue. Alright, stop arguing, you two. Go home quickly. Be careful on the road. Call uncle when you get home. Suyu reminded them. They will go now. Be good. Little Bean looked at Suyu reluctantly. I'll be good. Suyu smiled. Good girl, don't flirt with the nurse. Pudding said proudly and walked out before anyone could react. Chapter 1825. Pudding's words were like a bolt of lightning. After the twins left, the room became much quieter. Oh my god, they're finally gone. Tang Chuan let out a long sigh, feeling much more relaxed. Don't mess with the twins, they're very powerful. Even Huimin has a headache. Wei Liao laughed. To be honest, I, Tang Chuan, have lived for so long, but I've never seen such an amazing kid. Is he even a kid? I feel like they're going to become spirits. It can't be helped, their parents' genes are too strong. In this generation, just think of it as a genetic mutation. What do you think, Lord Su? Wei Liao looked at Suyu with a smile. Even if Pudding and Little Bean are young and old, they're still kids. Their thoughts are still very simple. Kids only care about good and evil. Adults only care about benefits and losses. That's very rare. I like them a lot, sometimes I greedily wish that they were my daughters. But after saying this, Suyu smiled bitterly. Alright, can you stop dreaming? She's not even your wife, so how can the kids be yours? If you ask me, you should either find a rich girl and get married to her and live a normal life, or you can continue to fool around like you used to and drink with your female artists every day. Isn't that great? Why go down the path of one-sided love? Sooner or later you'll be tortured to death. Tang Chuan began to persuade Suyu again. I don't think this path is difficult. In fact, from the moment little Mian moved into the Su family until now, these 4 years have been the happiest of my life. I know I'm too greedy, but compared to Qin Chu, I'm much happier. Although he met Huimin when they were young, they separated due to various misunderstandings. Until now, they've been separated for 11 years. To Qin Chu, who loves Huimin deeply, that's an unspeakable pain. A pain that no one else can see. Are you speaking up for your love rival? Tang Chuan was speechless. No, I'm just stating facts. Alright, let's stop talking about this. Did you two come here empty-handed? Didn't you bring any gifts? You guys are so rude. Suyu changed the topic. Tang Chuan and Wei Liao were dumbfounded. When the twins arrived home, it was already past 8 p.m. The kitchen had prepared desserts and snacks, and Huimin was having a video conference upstairs. Downstairs, Qin Chu's eyes. He sat between the two sisters and carefully blew on the 8-treasure longan porridge to cool it down. Then he fed them a mouthful of pudding. Daddy, I want one too. Little Bean's eyes immediately turned red. Of course, Qin Chu said of course, of a little puppies of porridge. Daddy, where did you and Mommy go today? Little Bean asked curiously. We went to eat and then went to Rainbow Square for a walk. Rainbow Square. There are a lot of aunties there. Why did you guys go there? Daddy, you have bad taste. Pudding pointed at the square. Qin Chu smiled faintly. That square means a lot to me and your mommy. We used to go there when we were young. Now we go there for the sake of nostalgia. It has nothing to do with the environment or atmosphere. Hey. But speaking of which, Daddy, you're so handsome and have such a good family background. Mommy really isn't beautiful enough, nor is she gentle enough. Her family background is also very ordinary. When you were in second high, there were so many girls. Why did you choose her? Did your domineering mommy force you to be her boyfriend? Pudding was curious. Chapter 1826. Pudding finally couldn't take it anymore. She put down her spoon and interrupted. Qin Mumu, can you grow a brain? Don't ask Daddy to answer such a simple question. It's fate who likes who. What does it have to do with looks? Mommy isn't pretty or gentle, but she's charming. That's the most important thing for a woman. If you rely on your looks, it's not wise. I don't think Daddy is a shallow man who only looks at a woman's face. Don't try to fool me with the stories you read in magazines and on TV. It's one thing for handsome Sue and Uncle Wei to be fooled by you. They always think that you're an old man. In fact, you're just an armchair strategist. You're just copying other people's words. It's not convincing to me. I want to hear it from Daddy himself. Pudding. For the first time, she was rendered speechless by Pudding's rebuttal. In fact, Pudding was right. Pudding always said things that adults said. Not all of them came from her own head, but she learned most of them. Sometimes she heard from Huamin that she learned from watching TV. Other times she would look for books to read. However, because she didn't know many rare words, she would read them out loud. In this way, Pudding wasn't that amazing. She just had a good memory and fast reflexes. Be good. Don't argue. Daddy will answer. Every time Chin-Chu saw his daughters argue, he felt conflicted. Pudding looked up at Chin-Chu expectantly. Actually, love is a very magical thing. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. Most of the time when you meet someone, you're caught off guard. The first time I saw your mommy, it was on TV. At that time, I had a very subtle feeling that this woman would be my wife in the future. Wow. Daddy, you're indeed a bossy president. You're really bossy. Pudding clapped her hands to flatter her daddy. After being scolded by Pudding, Pudding's aura was completely gone. She sat on the side in silence, seeming to have suffered a big blow. I heard that you two are also very bossy. Do you often bully Wei Yunchu and Gao Buin? Speaking of this, Chin-Chu wanted to laugh. Huamin had already told him. Not only did they bully Wei Yunchu, who was a few months older than them, but they also bullied Gao Buin, who couldn't speak. Gao Ran's son was so scared that when he saw them, he twisted his little butt and ran away. On the other hand, Wei Yunchu would often be cornered by the two sisters and forced to ask who was prettier. Just by imagining it, one could tell that it was a heart-wrenching drama. We didn't bully them. We're so kind. We love our brothers very much, Little Bean explained with a smile. Do you really love your brothers very much? Chin-Chu asked with a smile. Sometimes. Maybe we'll tease them, but we won't really bully them. After all, we're so close and don't want things to get too bad. We won't make things difficult for Mommy. Little Bean continued to smile slyly. At this moment, Chin-Chu turned around and looked at the depressed Pudding. He immediately picked her up and put her on his lap. Pudding, don't mind Little Bean's words. You're both very outstanding and are Daddy's good daughters. Daddy, are we geniuses? Chin-Chu obviously didn't expect his daughter to ask this and was slightly surprised. We've been called geniuses since we were born, so I really want to prove that I'm a genius. I heard that Mommy has a high IQ and EQ and Daddy is also a fast learner. You can do anything well and we don't want to embarrass you. We don't want people to say that we're not as good as you. Pudding, you're thinking too much. This isn't something you should be thinking about at your age. You two just need to be happy and safe. You're Mommy and I don't need you to be geniuses. You're just our daughters, that's all. Chin-Chu's words made tears glisten in his daughter's eyes. At this moment, Huamin walked downstairs. Honey. Her expression was serious. Chin-Chu carefully put down Pudding and walked over. Huamin picked up the news page on his phone and showed it to Chin-Chu. Breaking news just happened. Take a look. Chapter 1827. The news said, National Goddess Mo Schwager is suspected of allowing others to take drugs and has been detained by the police. As soon as this news came out, it immediately caused an earthquake. Mo Schwager had been in the entertainment industry for years and was extremely popular. He was now a godlike figure. She had over 50 million fans on Weibo, and any movie she starred in would earn over 100 million yuan. It was hard to believe that such a high and mighty person would be exposed in such a scandal. After all, most people didn't know how complicated the entertainment industry was. After reading the news, Chin-Chu's expression was still very calm. Honey, did you do this? Which one are you referring to? Chin-Chu looked at Huamin affectionately. Huamin thought for a moment and said slowly, I don't think Mo Schwager's been doing drugs and allowing others to do drugs for a long time, but she's been fine for a while now. Now that she's been exposed and detained by the police, it must have something to do with you. This is just the beginning. The Hua Corporation's scandals will only increase. So are we going to confront Hua Xiqian head-on? Huamin asked. Are you scared? Chin-Chu looked at her gently. But I'm not scared of anyone with you. This time, no matter if we win or lose, I will fight with you until the end. Of course, I don't think that we can't deal with that scumbag Hua Xiqian even if we work together. The difficult one isn't Hua Xiqian, honey. I know the difficult one is the one you keep talking about, the psychopathic terrorist that even my father and sister are afraid of. Ian is more difficult to deal with. But this time I'm going to take care of them all. That way you won't have to worry about anything in the future. The truth was, whether it was Hua Xiqian or Ian, they were both Huamin's problems. If Qin Chu wasn't with Huamin, he could have stayed out of it. However, he insisted on getting involved, to the extent that he didn't even care about his own life. Such deep love was truly admirable. Honey, do you think that falling in love with me is really troublesome? Huamin felt a little guilty. If it weren't for her, Qin Chu's life would have been smooth, brilliant, and glorious. He was born in a wealthy family and was talented and intelligent. He could go abroad to further his studies, and he could also go back home to inherit the family business. Then he would marry a socialite's daughter and live a smooth life. He wouldn't have to live in fear all the time and bear all the pressure. He had even been stranded in a foreign land for many years, and could not even be by his side when his wife was pregnant and had children. Every time he thought about this, Huamin's heart ached. Sometimes she felt a little inferior and thought that Qin Chu falling in love with her was the tragedy of Qin Chu's life. Qin Chu could tell that Huamin's emotions were fluctuating. He wrapped his arms around her slender waist. Honey, I'm not afraid of trouble. If you're so troublesome, don't bother others. I'll punish you for the rest of my life. Upon hearing his words, Huamin laughed with tears in his eyes. The two of them looked at each other in silence. Ahem, Daddy Mommy. Are you guys going to watch an 8 p.m. romance drama again? The dialogue is so melodramatic, Little Bean complained. Slate, I think we should go to bed. Little Bean, if you continue to be a third wheel, you really don't understand romance. With that, Pudding jumped down from the chair and went straight to her room. Little Bean made a face at Qin Chu and Huamin and followed her sister upstairs to her room. You two little brats, slow down. Don't bump into each other. The nanny carefully followed behind them. Huamin looked embarrassed. It was indeed a little awkward to have two little brats being affectionate in the house. Mansion boss, look at the news. Something happened to Miss Amok. When Huasiqian saw the news, he was furious. Chapter 1828. Recently, Mo Shuai was working with an overseas company, and it was going to be released in half a month. The Hua Corporation had invested hundreds of millions into the project, and now that this news was out, the consequences were unimaginable. That bitch. I told her to take it easy, but she still got into trouble. Boss. Qin Chu must have done this. What's the point of worrying about who did it? What's important is how to fix it. Huasiqian was so angry that he called Mayor Yan. Mayor, did you see the news just now? President Hua, I was just about to call you to talk about this. What the hell is going on? How could such a mistake happen? Mayor Yan's tone was filled with dissatisfaction. I'm sorry, Mayor, but I think there must be some misunderstanding. Maybe a rival company is trying to smear my name. So, I hope you can help me suppress this. How do you want me to suppress it? The Municipal Public Security Bureau arrested him directly. The Narcotics Department received a report. Also, Director Gao's son is now the Deputy Director of the Municipal Public Security Bureau. That person is very serious. I think it would be even more difficult for me to handle this. Senior leaders all like to talk in a bureaucratic manner. Upon hearing Mayor Yan's words, Huasiqian immediately understood what he meant. I understand. Then I won't bother you anymore. I'll think of something else. Okay, hurry up and deal with this. It'll affect the Hua Corporation. I know, Mayor. After hanging up the phone, Huasiqian was about to call the other senior leaders to get in touch with them to suppress this matter. However, one of his subordinates reported to him, Boss, look. The Municipal Bureau just posted something on Weibo. They've confirmed the authenticity of this incident. This is going to be troublesome. Huasiqian's face darkened. He took out his tablet and opened Weibo. When he saw the post that the police posted, his heart sank. The police of the City Public Security Bureau wrote this. MOXX, a well-known actress, 30 years old. Due to gathering a crowd to take drugs in a villa in Dongxing Wangfu District, 3 men and 5 women, all of them tested positive for urine. Currently, all of them have been detained by the police. The details of the situation are still pending the next step of the trial. The City Public Security Bureau also reminds the general public that taking drugs is harmful to health. The police posted something like this on Weibo, proving that Mo Shuai was a drug user. Huasiqian couldn't suppress it even if he wanted to. The public opinion on Weibo was one-sided. Mo Shuai's selfie posted yesterday, and there were already more than 400,000 comments below it. Huasiqian opened it and glanced at it. They were all insulting her. I didn't know that the goddess was a bitch. Wow, she's a drug user, you know what? Drug addicts are the most messed up. Regardless of gender, they're all beast. Everyone should boycott such people in the future. Emoshwe, get out of the entertainment industry. I suggest we ban her from the country so she can never embarrass herself in public again. I've never liked her. She's just a used shoe that the whole corporation made. She slept with thousands of people. Why did she have to go so far? Only you crazy fans would like her. I wonder how many millions the whole corporation is going to lose. I heard that the movie Nightcrawler that's about to be released is going to be hard to produce. They invested 500 million yuan and even invited a Hollywood actor to act with her. What a disappointment, Emoshwek. I didn't know you were this kind of person. I won't watch any of your movies or TV shows anymore. You're so negative. No wonder Huasiqian didn't want to marry you. You're a drug user. Scary. Huasiqian couldn't take it anymore. He closed the Weibo homepage. Boss, what should we do now? That you're tuning in to the Biao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.